Production is dominated in numbers by those adorable Austin Healey Sprites, Triumph Spitfires, and MG Midgets. And last year in the rain, three-time G Production champ Steve Sargis led the first 7 laps in his Spitfire, then blew a head gasket and was done for the day. Rick Haynes from nearby Columbus, Ohio inherited the lead, and Joe Huffaker, trying to catch him, had a near miss with number 2, Robert Kirby. Huffaker took a shortcut through the chicane. Leader Rick Haynes then spun on his own, coming to a stop in the middle of the track. Look at this, Huffaker running in second nearly hits him. Joe Huffaker's second miss of the day was his final close call. He won his 5th F Production title and 7th career national championship. He's back for more. Sprites, Spitfires, and Midgets. Sounds like a lot of fun, and we certainly hope that all 3 of these men have a good time. First of all, Harold Flesher, the number 93 maroon Sprite, will be driving from the right-hand side of the race car. This car has always been a race car. Dick Davis, 3rd in 2000, will be looking for his first title in F Production here in the yellow and red number 47 Sprite. And finally, 3-time G Production champion Steve Sargis has moved up a class to F Production and will be looking for his first title in the red number 18. Now let's go to my broadcast partner, Dorsey Schrader, for more on the class.
Well, you may think you're seeing double, and guess what? You are. 2 Huffaker Midgets, 2 really interesting stories. Charles Guest took 16 years out of his racing career and decides this year in June to come back. He knows he needs a good car, so what's he do? He goes to Joe Huffaker, buys the best you can, Huffaker Midget. Takes that out, starts campaigning it. Beginning of this year, 2 wins already. Now, 16 years from a race car, that's a long time, or you think it's a long time, but then enter Mike Penny. Now, Mike and I go way back. He's not raced in 21 years. He decides to come back. He goes to Joe Huffaker, says, Joe, make me some kind of deal. Joe goes, okay, how about my car? This is Joe Huffaker's Midget. And, of course, Mike takes it out at the beginning of the year. He goes out, wins 3 times, sets 2 track records. I'll tell you one thing. These 2 black cars, well, everybody's used to seeing them at the front of the pack. With these 2 drivers, guess what? I bet they'll be there again.
It's the SCCA National Championship Valvoline Runoffs from Mid-Ohio in F Production. These little race cars have been around for a long time, but they've got one more good run in them here today, and you are there. The beautiful racetrack here at Mid-Ohio hosts for the 9th time the 39th edition of the Runoffs. I'm Brian Trevor. Along with Dorsey Schrader, down on pit road, we've got Chris Neville and Guy Hobbs. And this is a fabulous racetrack for races like this and cars in F Production.
Well, you're absolutely right about that. 2.4 miles in length, 15 turns, but it's a very technical racetrack. You have to have the car placed the right place. Good long straightaway favors horsepower, but I tell you what, I'd rather have a good handling car here than one that goes down the straightaway.
Well, and we said F Production at the top. It is mostly Midget, Sprites, and Spitfires. We've got a mix of other cars allowed in there. But, Dorsey, what else are they allowed to do?
Well, these things are really they're performance cars that they get to do complete suspensions on them. Of course, we've got all the roll cages and the safety things that all of them have. But these are real hot rods. They build these motors way up around 14.5 to 1 compression, and you can hear them bark, that's for sure.
And a lot of us have fantasized about driving one of these little cars since we were very young. Hope you'll jump on board and enjoy them with us. Take a look at our Valvoline starting grid. You met Steve Sargis. He is a former G Production champ. He's on the pole. And many of the other men whose names are at the top of the list. But some of the ones that are down a little bit deeper had struggles in qualifying, maybe didn't get it together until the end. And we should see them running up through the field here. And it's a big one.
It is indeed. Look at Dan Snow there. He's usually up toward the front. He didn't have a good run with his Fiat, but doesn't mean he won't have a good race today.
Well, right now, as we finish up looking at the starting grid, we'll go to the first of our pit reporters. Here's Chris Neville.
Well, when you think about midgets, one name comes to mind. It's Joe Huffaker. 4 times in the past 5 years, he's won the championship. Now, Mike Penny said, I want to win this year, and like Dorsey said, he got in Joe's car that he's won the past championships. He hasn't won a championship since '78. He's here to do it in 2002.
With 1 minute remaining before the start of this race, I am standing where our second place qualifier should be parked. Harold Flesher has not shown up for the false grid. We don't know where he is. We're going to check on that. He has the oldest car in the field, a 1962 Austin Healey Sprite, and he's a 2000 champion. We'll see if he shows up last minute here.
Well, some last-minute drama in F Production here as our second quick qualifier has not arrived yet. We'll chase that story for you and a lot more as we come back to Mid-Ohio for the Valvoline Runoffs in F Production. Stay with us. Speed Channel's coverage of the SCCA Valvoline Runoffs is brought to you by Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. Well, we're buzzing with excitement here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in the Valvoline Runoffs, and part of it is because we've had a couple of no-shows. We already mentioned that Harold Flesher did not show up at the starting line, nor did the 24th starter, Lee Feinigal, out of Van Buren, Ohio. So a couple of no-shows become our very first stories as the cars are out on the racetrack. Guy Hobbs, what's going on?
You're right on the Harold Fleischer has not made the field, but the 04 has just come down pit lane, and he will join the back of the pack and be able to get the green flag here. But no show for Harold Fleischer.
Oh, and Dorsey Schrader, that is a huge story because he, first of all, was the second quick qualifier and certainly one of the favorites.
Yeah, definitely a favorite to win here, and he towed all the way up here from West Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. And obviously it must be a mechanical problem with his car because he is absent.
Our onboard camera today is going to be carried by Michael Whedon out of Glen Allen, Virginia, in the Hanover Honda Sports CRX SI. Now he's starting in 32nd position, struggled a little bit in qualifying, finally got a good lap in, and now we go green with the field that was set in front of him. And oh, we've got our first incident.
Boy, that's in your face.
The number 9 of Dieter Greisinger comes around and right into your living room.
Well, I suspect he got a little help on that. We don't know, but boy, that was right in your face race. And look at this battle up front.
Yeah, well, Sargis takes off in the lead.
Oh, there's a bump and grind right there going on right through the S's. Nobody spins. That was pretty lucky. 3 wide.
The red number 18 of Sargis leads. His 5th pole position has gotten him a jump on the field.
Oh, gosh. These guys, you can't win this on the first lap, but they're sure trying hard.
And one of those black Huffikers. Oh, it was the 0 car, and that is a very different race car from what we thought it was. It's Dave Kisak. I thought it was the 9. Kisak out of New York in an MG Midget. And he's climbing out of the car, obviously okay, and here's what happened.
Take a look here. Things get congested. Yeah, good bump there. The blue car gets into his quarter panel, spins him. They're already well over 100 miles an hour when he hits the wall right there at camera position.
Oh, he backed it in, so most of the damage is going to be on the tail of that pretty little race car, and so it's already taken its toll on the first victim of the race. We had one no-show, and now we have one no-finish. Steve Sargis edging away out in front. Michael Pinney taking a while to kind of get the blood flowing again here.
Yeah, and Sargent goes through turn 1 with a lot of smoke coming out of the back of the car. That is not a good sign on the first lap of a race, and I'm really kind of surprised they haven't gone yellow because that car is sitting backed into the wall. I'm sure it doesn't roll well anymore.
Sargis, a former Jeep production champ, out in front right now with Michael Pinney in 2nd position. Dick Davis in the yellow 47 runs 3rd, and then it's Daniel Snow in 4th spot. We got a nice little tussle and some contact there. Great save by the driver of the number 24 car as he pulls it back together, Charles Guest.
Yeah, he got a little help there, courtesy like Tommy Kendall and Ron Fellows used to do in trains him. A little bump and run.
Here we go 3 wide with the 22 down on the inside. Jamie Blust, he qualified in 6th position, so they're all over the racetrack and looking for different lines everywhere.
I think the driver of the car that was backed in there just walked out to the track. Look at another nudge. That's another nudge.
Greisinger and the 24 of Guest getting together again, but they both keep going. The 19 in the meantime gets around, and so Mark Irwin takes over the spot from the 22 of Blust.
Greisinger actually just drove right into the door and kept his foot in it, tried to spin the car out, and it would have none of it. That 24 car. Look, here's your first one. He goes inside. I don't think Charles knows he's there. That's just a little bump, and it doesn't take much to upset the car. Good save, like you said, as he gets it back under control. This next one, however, a little bit more blatant. As you see right now, he turns down into the corner. 69 car is going to come right into the door here. Boom. And watch this. He steers kind of into it, floors it, almost drives over the top of it, tries again. Almost does go over the top of it.
Well, they're working on their setup in the way that you wouldn't expect, and maybe they aren't going to like it near as much after that. They're already aerodynamically challenged for a little bit, and we're going up towards the front now as we take a look at the number 24, Charles Guest.
Well, a lot of gesturing going on right there between those two still. Here's our pace car finally did come out. That car's got pretty significant damage. Let's see what happens.
So everybody's going to slow down and bunch up and roll up their sleeves and get ready to go after it again. We're under yellow in F production at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. The Valvoline Runoffs are at a slow trot at the moment, but we'll get them going again here when we come back.
F production is a class that is dominated by midgets. However, 2 drivers have decided to stray from the herd this weekend. Stan Shatsky, you've decided to show up here driving an Opel. Can you tell us why?
Sure. I wanted to prove something else could be competitive, and we've done it on the divisional level with 2 championships and 8 national wins. Got a ways to go to prove it here, though.
And Mike Santos has also decided to show up with a 77 Ford Pinto. Mike, can you tell us why?
We're Ford fans where we come from, so we decided to go with an American car to come chase down these little midgets.
And I think if you take a look at the front of this Pinto, if I was in a midget and I saw that coming at me in my rearview mirror, I'd sure hope that he doesn't lose his brakes.
All right, well, Chasky's running in 19th position right now in his Opel GT, and it's certainly a distinctive race car in this class.
You don't see many of those even on the street much anymore, and if these guys in these midgets, there's a BMW 2002 right in front of him, another car you don't see much anymore. These guys in the midgets keep doing this.
Yep.
He might still win.
Well, we're under full course caution, and this is why the zero car of Dave Kisak going around, and here's what happened to him.
Right at the start, gets hit by the blue car there. Don't see a number yet, but he got taken right into the quarter panel, and backs it in at 100 miles an hour right in the face, and he's not happy. He's going, what are you doing? What was that all about?
I think
no helmet toss.
Yeah, hold on. I think without pointing any fingers, it was the blue 22 of Jamie Blust, who's running in 8th position currently and qualified 6th. So that was kind of in the neighborhood. Watch it again.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got our first incident.
Like I said.
So they're cleaning it up right now, and all the cars are bunched up around the racetrack. Steve Sargis is your leader with Michael Pinney and Dick Davis right behind him now. And this bunched up field is going to make things, well, it's going to create another opportunity for what we just saw, Dorsey Schrader, and we may see it again. Right now, though, let's go down to Guy Hobbs.
I'm down here with Joe Huffaker, who's got a vested interest, normally runs in this class, but vested interest, you'll be racing GT5 later on. But right now, Michael Guest runs in 5th, and a car that you used to own, Charlie Guest runs in 5th, Michael Pinney currently running in 2nd.
Yeah, we're proud to have Mike Pinney, Dick Davis, and Charlie Guest representing Huffaker Engineering built cars and engines. So I'm looking forward to this race. It's not over by any means.
Now, Charlie got hit in the back there. Has he reported some problems?
He reported it. It's okay. And we're just a little wary of there's a white car that might have been involved, and we just don't want that to happen again. So
no problems?
No problems. We're good.
All right, so Joe keeping a close eye on 3 cars out here. Normally in the F production, of course, running GT5 himself later this weekend.
Boy, look at all the rubber coming off. That's coming off the pace car, believe it or not. It's going around street tires, picking up all the spent rubber, and it just dumped a whole bunch of it right in their face.
Everybody's waving at them and trying to weave their way out of the way. So the pace car with the lights still on. Sargis and the rest trying to keep some heat in their tires. Now let's go down to Chris Neville.
Well, I just talked to Steve Sargis' crew, and they're looking like it's the same position as last year. They led most of the race. They had a mechanical, which took them out. But these guys are also in a car that hasn't won this class in over 20 years. They've got a lot of guys in midgets who are kind of looking at them and saying, why is that car so much quicker? So they've had a couple people wondering if it's a legal car. A lot of tech inspections this weekend. So they're trying to show these guys that they've got a legal car, they can run up front, and this weekend they're just looking for no mechanical problems so they can get their first championship in this class.
Kisak's car going off on the hook, and talking about Steve Sargis, when I first got here earlier this week, running around looking for some of the drivers, didn't have any trouble finding Sargis. He was sitting in the tech garage.
Well, they're looking at his car pretty good. You know, they sound confident. There's that wreck again right down there at the start. They sound confident, but they don't know what I know and what you know, which is that car was smoking pretty heavily going through turn 1. And there's another factor here. The guy I told you to watch out didn't qualify good. He was 13th. Talking about Dan Snow, he is now up to 4th on 2 laps.
That's a very fine run. So the cars are still circling under yellow. We expect them to go green very shortly. So we'll wait on pins and needles along with you, right? Getting ready to go green here in F production for the national championship at the SCCA Valvoline Runoffs at Mid-Ohio. Steve Sargis is your leader. Michael Pinney is running in 2nd. And as they get the green flag,
Dan Snow with a big run on the outside out of 4th place. He's going to have a lot of momentum.
He's up to 2nd.
Now, here comes the traffic jam.
On the brakes, though, he has to hold on to 3rd and then slip back into 4th, so they stay in line, and Snow goes way wide, loses 2 spots, and he was trying to gain a couple.
And he saw double, too. Look at those 2 Huffaker midgets running 2nd and 3rd now as Mike Pinney and Charles Guest stick it right in the middle, trying to catch Sargis still, though.
Dick Davis in the yellow car running in 4th position. Our new 5th place moving up in the red car. And Steve Sargis still leads in that Triumph Spitfire. Reliability an issue, a mechanical problem taking him out of the race last year. Actually a spin followed by broken parts on his car.
Well, I'll tell you, you got 2 Fiats back there, and that one little mistake cost 2 positions for Dan Snow. That shows you how tight these guys are. You can't make a mistake and not pay the penalty.
of the few portions.
Oh, big trouble here.
Oh, and here we got a problem as one of the Huffaker cars runs off the racetrack. It's the 24 of Guest. He gets it back together again, but not before losing a handful of positions.
Yeah, you see the damage on the right front fender there from that altercation early on. He's in trouble now. Looks like he's going to lose another position in turn one.
Well, Jamie Blust, and that's the blue car that we think tapped the zero and had it go around. So the 24 of Guest manages to recover and get the spring wound up tight again and jump away from Blust, but he lost all those track positions now, and he's got his work cut out for him again.
Yeah, here you go right down into the carousel, way too deep, locks up the brakes and gets it on the outside. Luck, actually a pretty good save once you realize the problem, but the road falls away there and it's real easy to lock up a brake, and that's exactly what caught him out.
Bounces back up onto the asphalt and keeps right on going just ahead of Blust at the blue 22, and that's where he is right now. Charles Guest driving one of those beautiful Huffaker prepared midgets that dominated this class.
See a little fender flapping in the back there, and that probably was from that side-by-side launch over with the Spitfire earlier on.
Davis is running third. Dieter Griesinger, who was involved in all the action a little while ago with Guest, is fourth. Dan Snow in fifth. He lost some spots. He gained one of them back. Yeah, he had that great start. Actually was going to try to contend for the lead down in turn one, and he got himself in too deep and cost him a couple positions. Let's go down to Guy Hobbs right now with his crew chief.
And his wife, Christy. Christy, a great start for Dan here.
Yeah, he went from 13th to 4th in one lap.
Just dropped position, but got it back just right now.
Yeah, he just did.
And you're rooting for him all the way and just waving him on, right?
Oh, absolutely. We worked so hard this week. We've done motors, heads, carburetors, dyno time, broke oil lines. We've had the worst luck all week, and it's been nonstop work.
And the slogan on the back of the car?
See snow go.
See snow go. He's hoping there's going to be a blizzard here later on.
Well, the qualifying sheet chronicles their difficulties. Their fast lap, the one that they had to stand on the grid with, came in the very first session. So their problems ensued after that. They were never really able to pick up any time. Obviously, they picked up some speed, though, and Snow is running very well. Yeah, and right behind him, Mark Irwin in another Fiat X19. So you got both those Fiats running well. They've won this class in the past. So it's not like that car isn't capable. Tight action all the way through the field now. Yeah, Charles Guest just took that position back away from the other Fiat. He got by it. So that car, even though it's been roughed up pretty good, it's still he's running pretty well. Watching the white number 12 of Daniel Snow that started in 13th position, up to 4th, back to 6th, and now up to 5th again. So he's having a nice seesaw ride out there in his Fiat. Yeah, and there's still a lot of race to go. I remember one time my boss at Ford told me I was the only guy who could pass every car in the field and still lose. And he's doing that right now, too. All right. Sargis continues to stay out in front. We're not seeing any more smoke out of the number 18 Triumph Spitfire. And Sargis, while he has his hands full with Michael Penny, has enough of a gap where he's just able to drive his lines and not really have to worry about defending too much. That could be just nothing but a little bit of an oil leak. These are British cars after all. Now I'm going to get hate mail for saying that, but they do leak oil. Now, actually, look now, the Huffaker car also showing some smoke from out the back. Part of the charm of some of these older cars, and almost everybody in our viewing audience, no doubt, and certainly just about everybody here at Mid-Ohio has driven or owned one, at least in the past. They've made just hundreds of thousands of them, and we got all kinds of traffic going on here now, and one very unusual looking race car here in F-Production. Yeah, that was our feature piece car in the middle of a big melee there. Everybody, a bunch of different cars right there. You see the normal midgets, a Spitfire in there. And that's going to be a motor that has seen better days, as we got a lot of smoke coming out of the yellow car. Now, if these guys are indeed all these cars leaking a little bit of oil, it's going to start getting pretty slippery out there. Of course, we had a night of rain, so the racetrack is very, very green still. No rubber down. That is the number 51 of Terry Bryant, a Honda CRX SI, similar to the one we saw earlier in the feature, and we're still seeing a lot of smoke around the racetrack. Of course, that's a front-wheel drive car, so if it did rain, he might have a chance to do something with it. But he's in heavy battle here. 3 wide going into turn 1 again. Oh, yeah, 3 wide. Meanwhile, Penny keeps stalking the leader, Steve Sargis, out in front. 8 laps are complete. We're working lap 9 at Mid-Ohio. And so far, this man and his Triumph Spitfire have owned all of them. Welcome back to the Valvoline Runoffs at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Approaching the halfway mark here in this competition in F-Production. It has been a very spirited battle. We've had some paint exchanged. We've had just a little bit of everything as we watch the 77 car of Bill Hunter running out there along with a big group of race cars. They're way deep in the field. Hunter currently in 28th position, but he's got lots of company.
Does indeed. That third car, the red car, that's Mark Webber out of St. Louis. He's been in this class for about ever. You know what, the drivers cool together. He's racing 3 different classes this year. That race car's going to run again today if he doesn't tear it up in this race.
Down into turn number 1 under the bridge, the fastest corner on the racetrack. There's the 25 car also involved in the middle of this, and that is Webber. Then we look back at the 31 of Bill Blust out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, in his 72 midget. And we're on board right now with Mike Whedon, who started in 32nd position. He's up to 27th right now, and having a good time. He's got company too.
Right in front of him is our feature car. There's that Opel GT that we saw earlier on, and that car looks like it's running pretty well today.
Certainly is, as they go around the keyhole and down the longest straightaway here at Middlehouse Sports Car Course, which invites them into one of the real, truly opportune passing zones down into turns 6 and 7.
That's a great straightaway. You can really work the draft here because it's long enough to get a slingshot. Look, you see it working right now, as a matter of fact, is trying to set up the pass to go down into the brake zone, just like you talked about down into the end here. Little blocking there.
Yeah, blocking, tries to get alongside. We've got 4 cars going 2 by 2 down into turn number 6, led by the 64 of Mike Miller.
Mike Miller, a little defensive, moved over. He said, "You're not catching up."
Oh, and Blust is off the track. The 22 that was dealing out a little bit of contact early in the race has now become a victim of some problem, perhaps on his own, as he gets going again.
That's right, the top of the S's, and it's a strange place to lose it on your own, quite honestly.
Running in 8th place. Side by side, the Opel GT going with the 77 of Bill Hunter. That's a Honda CRX. Well, a lot of variety in the races, in the race cars back deeper in the field.
Well, they let that pass happen real easily, which is the right thing to do. Once he had it committed and down the inside, might as well brake a little earlier and harder and tuck back in so you don't lose, both of you lose time.
Stan Shockey from El Paso, Texas in the 71 Opel GT.
I don't know that you can get parts for them very often anymore. It's pretty hard to get stuff.
Prowling the junkyards, no doubt, for parts for his race car and adding whatever he can according to the SCCA rules. So you can see the variety of cars in F production. Meanwhile, out in front, Steve Sargis with a little over a 1-second lead, and then it's a huge 14 seconds back to 3rd place Dieter Griesinger and Dick Davis, who are having a good little tussle.
If my memory is right, I believe that Opel GT has a V4 engine in it. It's a very strange little beast.
Opel GTs are very popular cars back in the 70s. They were pretty sporty looking and quite inexpensive.
Poor man's bet.
That's right. Exactly what they were designed to look like, a Corvette. And the Opel takes a much tighter line through the keyhole and gains a spot back.
Yeah, the Fiat, they're just moved over and let everybody by. He wasn't going to race with anybody. He just moved off the line, let those guys go.
So Shockey in that 74 Opel GT. It looks faster than it is sometimes. They've got great aerodynamics on those cars. And now we go to the 24 of Charles Guest, running in 6th position, and he's had an exciting and eventful afternoon so far.
Little smoke coming out of there, you see, and you can take a look at the right front fender. Oh, the car twitched on him right there. Right front fender is kind of tore up.
We'll chronicle his key moments here today.
That was the little one. That one wasn't too much. That just kind of got his attention. This is a pretty nasty little piece of drive right here. This almost drove over the top of him.
It was Griesinger in the 69, who is up in 3rd position, while
that was his own mistake that time. He just got in too deep into the carousel line
and fell all the way back to 8th. He's worked his way to 6th now in that Huffaker midget that continues to put out a little smoke, but he's staying on the gas.
I think that could be tire smoke if it's rubbing, that fender's rubbing on the tire. You see the back body work flopping a little bit. That's from the resulting hit that we just saw.
So Guest nursing his black number 24 around the racetrack, but he is gaining on the guys in front of him.
Yeah, look at this. Dick Davis to the inside of Stan Snow, and then doesn't get it.
No, Griesinger in the lead, number 69 of this group anyway. But here comes Charles Guest, and if he could get all the way up to that red number 69, we might see some more fireworks here in F production.
Well, he's driving real aggressive. You see he's working real hard on Dick Davis, trying to get underneath him in the brake zone. That's a real hard place to pass somebody right where he's at there.
3-time Midwest National Division points champion Dick Davis.
Easy, boys. That's not a good place to touch.
Oh. So Guest working on Davis, and at the tail end of a 4-car group that is racing for the final medal here today. Gold, silver, and bronze medals. The gold and silver pretty well out in front, and this is for the bronze.
Listen, all these guys really aggressive right now. Dan Snow's trying to get by. Dick Davis is trying to keep our man Guest back there. Here's a good run right here. He should be able to get him up into turn 1 on this lap. Here he moves. No, he didn't get the run he needed.
Battle for third, crossing start finish now with 12 laps down and 8 to go as the white number 12 pulls alongside. Dan Snow trying to make a move, can't get it done. Greisinger still holding on.
And that will put him in jeopardy from the cars behind him because that certainly slowed his run through turn one.
And here comes Guest.
Taking a look. Nowhere to go with that. This is the important corner coming up. When they get up here to the keyhole, they have to get into this corner and get off of it cleanly because it runs down straight. With Guest on the inside. This time, boy, they almost made contact there if they didn't. Dick Davis's car.
Davis, the bronze medalist from 2000, driving that yellow number 47. Greisinger out in front. Then it's Dan Snow in the number 12.
Fellow Missouri in there. St. Louis region doing a good job. Now look, everybody's going down here in the brake zone.
Oh yeah, hard on the brakes and side by side. Daniel Snow pulls up alongside, makes it move. Can he hold on? As Greisinger comes back on the outside, but that's the long way around. Now he crosses wheel paths again, and in the meantime, Charles Guest took over the spot behind him.
He got by Davis and almost took a look right there at the Spitfire. Boy, I'll tell you what, he's really driving aggressively.
So out in the front of this group in third position is now Daniel Snow in the 12. Dieter Greisinger is behind him. And Charles Guest has moved up another position. Meanwhile, Steve Sargis leads it. Welcome back to the Valvoline Runoffs, the 39th installment of the biggest motorsports event in America here, and the 9th time it has been at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Steve Sargis is running out front, and at this point, with almost a 4-second lead, you would think that his chance of victory is pretty well set, but he has had lots of mechanical problems during the year, and you know he's starting to hear noises as Charles Guest is really pushing hard on the 69 Spitfire of Dieter Greisinger.
Yeah, he almost gave him a little tap there. In fact, it's not over with yet. Remember, down the end of the straightaway is the good passing opportunity. All these guys can work the draft now. And you'll probably see a multiple car flare where everybody will try to go to the lead down here, I'm sure.
Dick Davis bringing up the rear and watching all what he thinks might be some mayhem. Here comes Greisinger up alongside.
He should have that clean.
Not exactly. Late on the brakes is Dan Snow, and he gives it up reluctantly, and then here comes Guest, who's jockeying for another spot down there in the braking zone.
And if he makes a mistake, right behind that is Dick Davis, who will take that position back if he can.
I think Davis is just watching the fireworks in front of him, thinking, okay, fellas, you got 7 more laps of playing around like this, and much more of it, I'm going to end up taking the spot you're all fighting for.
And it does. I mean, sitting back there looking at that, it looks like a wreck about to happen, doesn't it?
Dick Davis, a veteran race car driver, and he's just playing the patience game. Meanwhile, Dieter Greisinger has slipped away a little bit out of the clutches now, Dan Snow.
That's all that fighting going, all that side-by-side business tends to slow the overall lap up, and they're losing touch, of course, with the lead because of that.
Watching Snow's rear-engine Fiat, it certainly is loose coming off the corners. He's got a lot more tail-happy action going on there. So it's Greisinger, Snow, Guest, and then Dick Davis.
Cars all pretty equally matched. You look at them, they really aren't.
Whoa! Oh, a big moment, and couldn't save it. He tried twice and then ended up in the grass. So a good run for Daniel Snow is going to take an abbreviated pause right now as he tries to get it going again.
Boy, just got into turn 1, came off a little too hard, got sideways, overcorrected, and snapped the other way. Got behind on the steering, as we say. Now it's a 3-car battle instead of a 4.
And Dick Davis took over the spot from Charles Guest, who checked up behind a spinning Dan Snow. We'll take another look at this.
And here he is, exit 1. He's already underneath the bridge there. He's on full throttle by now. Car breaks free right here. He adds some steering to it, but not enough and not quick enough. And it's going to hook right back the other way. Got behind the steering, off the road he goes. Once you're on that grass, it's been raining. That was the end of the day right there for him.
They got back going again, but not before losing a whole lot of positions. He had been running in 4th place and was challenging for 3rd.
Boy, just a little too much on the steering right there. Sent him off the road.
It's a busy race car driver behind the wheel of that Fiat.
Yes, it is.
But he just couldn't get it done. And as his wife looking on. So Christine Snow, crew chief and spouse of the race car driver, looking on right now, and some disappointment very obvious on her face. Not a lot of damage to the car necessarily, but he's going to be tenderfooting it around for a while now.
Well, she said in an interview that they've had nothing but trouble this week and they worked so hard, and it's a shame to go out that way, but that's the breaks.
Your leader is still Steve Sargis, the three-time G Production champion, has had a flawless run at the front, and with 5 laps to go, he's trying to hang on for a victory at the Valvoline Runoffs. We'll be right back to Mid-Ohio in a moment.
See Snow Go refers to Daniel Snow, who will be racing his Fiat in the F production class. And Dan, obviously a very big weekend for you, but also a long weekend. You've been up all night.
Yeah, we're up to about 1:30 in the morning, working on the cylinder head and working on the carburetor, some other things on the car. We spent the rest of the day yesterday doing that, things like that.
You're one of only a couple of Fiats in the field. Is that a disadvantage?
Well, the rules do lean towards the British cars very greatly. We run one of the smallest carburetors that there is allowed in the class.
Big family affair for you. Your dad's been doing this for years. Now you're here with your wife and your brother, your mother, all chipping in.
Yeah. Well, this is my dad's car. He built it in 1980, and my mom feeds us. My wife and my brother help me work on the car. We got about 1,000 hours into the car before this race.
All right, Daniel Snow, hoping there's going to be a blizzard on the podium this weekend.
I sure hope so.
Guy Hobbs' interview with Dan Snow, of course, before the race, and he was involved in a lot of activity. Now, apparently, it has come to an end. His wife, Christine, running over there, and the Fiat is done for the day. And a good run for Dan Snow has come to a rather abrupt end.
Well, after he had the spin, he came by here the last time by, and the engine misfired heavily, and he pulled her behind the wall. So mechanical failure again, unfortunately.
Meanwhile, we're watching Charles Guest in that number 24 car and Dieter Griesinger. Remember, these two had plenty of fireworks early in the race, so now they find one another once again, and you have to think that the gloves might come off here in the closing laps.
There's not going to be any love lost between these two guys after that start skirmish business, I tell you what. And Guest, going through turn 1, actually pinched the corner off, and I think he could have got a lot better run. Here's a good run right here, though. This will definitely transpire into a pop out at the end. There's no doubt. And a lap car in the way, or about to be a lap car, is going to be in the way.
Dieter Griesinger trying to hold off Charles Guest right now. This is for 3rd and 4th, final podium spot. They go around the 07 of Robert Vick out of Fort Worth, Texas, and another Fiat Spider.
Here we go.
Here it comes in the braking zone. That was clean, but then he had to get it back on the brakes. Touch again. Griesinger goes off into the grass, and the fireworks continue. The lap car has to check up, and Dieter Griesinger facing the wrong way. He's going north into southbound lane, and everybody's coming after him.
Oh, boy, I tell you. Well, that's not surprising. You know, I saw that Guest got into the brake zone really, really good. Got in deep, and we'll see it here in a second. And got on the brakes and actually had to check up. The car did a little wiggle right there. Hits the curb, I think, pushes out, and there's the contact. They're just not leaving enough room for each other, and it sends Griesinger out into the wet grass. And, of course, that's the end of that story. Around he goes.
Round he goes, then off to the other side of the racetrack. Finally got it geared back together again, and off he went. Here's Dieter Griesinger continuing around the racetrack, but after losing a lot of positions. Let's go down to Guy Hobbs right now with Dan Snow.
Yeah, we just got up with Dan. Dan, very disappointing finish after such a great start to the race.
You know, that's the start every race driver wants. From 14th to 4th, nobody complained about that.
A lot of position swapping going on too, back in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th positions. But then you got off track a little bit, a bit of a spin, but it turned out to be worse than that.
Yeah. Well, I had no power on right-hand corners, and I got behind Dieter, and he slowed up, and you know, I can't trail brake in his car, and I just went right off, broke the motor mount, took the timing mount out, the valves are gone.
Well, there you go. It's not a very happy Daniel Snow, and certainly not a very happy Christy Snow. Fortunate runoff event for them here in the F production.
That explains the nasty sounds we heard as he drove by. That was the valves and the pistons doing a dance.
No problem so far anyway, and 3 laps to go for Steve Sargis, who is your leader in F production here at the National Championships Valvoline Runoffs. Your leader has just crossed the start-finish line with 2 laps remaining here in the F production SCCA Valvoline Runoffs National Championship. And for Steve Sargis, he'll be looking to add a 4th title, but his first in F production.
It'd be pretty amazing if he can do this. It would be 3 titles in a row as he won G production the last 2 years straight. Moves up to F and shows these boys, hey, catch this Spitfire.
Out in front, Steve Sargis. A distant second is the 17 of Michael Pinney. We chronicle his story of coming back to racing after a long layoff and getting in one of Joe Huffaker's cars. In fact, Joe's personal car that Joe himself is not driving in the class this year. So Pinney, after having a good battle early on, has fallen off the pace set by Sargis, and he is almost 10 seconds behind the leader at this point.
Of course, these two guys have a huge gap because they weren't racing each other. They pulled away from the guys that we saw that furious battle going on. And has claimed 2 of the top cars already.
Charles Guest moving up into 3rd position with a nice aggressive move. Dieter Griesinger going off the racetrack is back in 8th. So a lot of drivers have moved up. The 63 of Charles Coker is up into 4th, and Walter Handley in 5th place. And here's a battle.
Dick Davis still out there in the midst of a skirmish here. That's a Porsche 914 right in front of him.
This is the battle for 5th place. 5th is Handley in the number 98 car up in front. Then it's Dick Davis in that familiar number 47 yellow car. Behind him,
it's Peter Morton.
Yep, it is Morton that's in the Porsche. Nice run going there. These fellows are going to settle the issue in the final couple laps of the race in 3 very different race cars.
Porsches are known for their brakes, so I don't think you're going to see an overtake right there. Although the 4 car's working on it's Morton trying to work on Dick Davis.
Morton in a Sprite, sorry about that, had him backwards there. The Porsche's up front. Then the 47 of Davis in the middle there is an MG Midget with a Sprite bringing up the rear.
And the rear end of that Sprite, the 4 Morton car, look at it.
Yep.
He's had contact with somebody who's given him a pretty good shot at one point.
Number 98 Porsche of Walter Handley running right now in 5th place. And you see on the screen some of the biggest movers in the race. 13 positions gained by Handley and his number 98 race car. He started in 18th, so he's really been moving up. The biggest mover, though, is the number 72 of Robert Kirby, also in a Porsche. And Kirby started back at 29th.
Or Dick Davis trying inside, trying outside, trying any place he can to get alongside that Porsche. But it looks like the Porsche's got some pretty good torque coming out of the corners. It seems to be able to pull away about 2 car lengths worth.
It's obviously got the handling very, very well done on that car, too, as even Dick Davis swings out a little bit wider. The Porsche hugs a nice tight line. Here's your leader, Steve Sargis, who has led every lap of this race, qualified on the pole for the 5th time in the runoffs, and used that pole position start, just skated away and never really had a race beat going on with him.
Well, this guy knows how not only to win races, obviously, but championships as well. This will be his 3rd in a row. He's only got the carousel in front of him. It's between him and the checkered flag coming up.
Steve Sargis leading every lap. That's the kind of dominating performance that you like to see. His crew is looking on as Sargis makes the last couple of corners, and he could coast across the line at this point, but instead he powers to the checkered flag to take the F Production National Championship at Mid-Ohio. Steve Sargis is your F-Prod winner. We're going back to the battles that are still raging out there on the racetrack as the 4 cars gotten around Dick Davis, but he's running out of time to catch the 98 Porsche.
Yeah, it sure did. Morton got by Davis, and this is the final lap, so it's the time to do it. Let's see if Davis has anything left. There's not many places to pass between where they are right now and start-finish line that you can do it cleanly without the other driver making a mistake of some sort. This would be one of them, and it's not going to happen here.
So Walter Handley is going to hang on to 5th place. He's too far behind 4th Charles Coker Jr. to make any difference there. But we still could see a challenge coming from Peter Morton in the number 4 car. He's back quite a ways right now, so it's not likely to materialize unless we see a mistake by Handley.
Well, he'll try right here. I'm sure that Davis will try right here on the brake zone for the carousel. No, he's not close enough to do anything.
So the last couple of corners and in the distance is the start-finish line. So this battle for 5th is going to end with the 98 of Walter Handley getting the best of Peter Morton and Dick Davis.
That's a great run for Walter Handley. I tell you what, from where he started to come up through like that, and you don't see any dents on his car. No bruising there.
Well, he's waving to the corner workers, and so is your winner, Steve Sargis, out of Frankfort, Illinois. An engineer by trade has just put together a national championship run in his Triumph Spitfire, returning the brand to victory lane for the first time in many years.
Now comes the infamous tech shed.
Yeah, the room of doom is all that awaits now for Sargis, but he has spent enough time in there this weekend so far to be familiar with the environment at least. They had him parked in there pretty much all day on Tuesday, having a good close look at the number 18 Spitfire that has turned out to be the F Production class winner.
Well, if he's an engineer by trade, you can be almost certain that that car is built properly and everything's going to be on the up and up.
He's got some company there from number 53, Jim Creighton, in his 73 midget. Creighton finishing in 17th place, and they're accompanying one another in red race cars around the track as they head back to the start-finish line right now. So they are heading for the area where Guy Hobbs and Chris Neville are waiting to talk to our winners. That's the next order of business here as Steve Sargis pulls in as a national champion in F production in the SCCA Valvoline Runoffs at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We'll hear from the winner when we come back. Speed Channel's coverage of the SCCA Valvoline Runoffs is brought to you by Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. Well, the fireworks were many, and they have now subsided, at least because the F production race is over. Steve Sargis is your winner. Most of our winners have returned to victory lane, and Guy Hobbs is with first place.
I'm with Steve Sargis, who, Steve, you've got 4 national titles now, but this one, your first one in F production. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited about this. I changed the class last year and didn't have very much luck, and I've had some bad luck this year, and it's a rough time this week, and I'm just so excited about winning this one. I don't know what to do, and I'm exhausted too.
It's the first time the Triumph Spitfire's been back in victory lane for quite some time.
Yeah, I'm proud of that fact. I think in G production I was the first one to come back after a long time too, and now it looks like G production's got Spitfires in it, so I feel like I'm, you know, supporting the old queen there.
Oh, that's good to hear. Now, the race at the beginning was pretty tough. You had a lot of company out there, but then you managed to break away and gave yourself a bit of a gap.
That's right. I was very unhappy to see the double yellow because I squirted out on Mike a little bit, and it seemed like right after the restart the car developed a little push, and Mike was able to stay with me in the tight stuff. It eventually came around and handled pretty well, and I got away from him.
Congratulations. We'll let you take your lap of honor. Chris, you have our second place finisher.
Yeah, I'm here with Mike Penny, and Mike, it's been 20 years since you've been in Victory Circle here at the Runoffs. You finished first back in '78. Now you've got a second.
Yeah, well, you know, the first place is where this car is usually at, and I guess chips didn't fall my way today. And I'll tell you what, though, it's still a hell of a car, and you know, I think if they make a little bit of rule changes to even it out again, we'll be back up there and we'll kick their butt.
Now the car was smoking a little bit in the latter half of the race. Any worries?
No, the car seems to do that as it gets a little bit warm and stuff. It's actually coming from the transmission, and the transmission fluid gets on in the tunnel on the exhaust.
And I'm also here with Joe Huffaker. And Joe, last time we saw you last year, you were standing up on top of that podium, and now you're looking at a couple cars that are going in Victory Circle.
That's right. Yeah, two of them in the top 3 is awesome, especially with Mike Penny and Charles Guest. You know, for them to come back after all these years of my equipment, I'm just real proud.
Now, will we see you back here in 2003?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what end, but you know, we got a lot of race cars down around my shop right now. So.
Sounds good. Back to the booth.
All right, as Steve Sargis takes his victory lap, a dominating performance for him. Led every lap, 8-second margin of victory, no lead changes, and he even survived the caution.
Yeah, it was a perfect weekend for him. It's not a perfect weekend because he worked so hard, but it's the culmination you look for. That's your results right now.
Our 5th place, Walter Handley there as Eddie Beal rounds out the top 10. Debbie Schreiner, the only female driver in the field,
did a great job.
At ninth position as we look at all the results here in F production. And we'll go back down to Guy Hobbs.
Charles Guest takes a refreshing sip of water. Pretty good battle out there for a while. You had a great race.
Yes, I did a lot of dumb things on the restart. I was right behind Mike going into carousel, and I went down through the weeds and got in 5th, and then I had to fight my way back and bink and bang. It wasn't boring.
Keeping yourself busy out there. You've got to be happy, though, with a bronze medal.
Very happy. Yes, very happy.
All right, congratulations to you.
Okay, thank you.
Probably the most eventful day, wouldn't you say, Dorsey?
I think no doubt about it. These two cars have magnetic attraction, I think, because they wouldn't stay off each other.
No, so that was all. There's the 3rd incident, which he admitted was all on his own and dropped him back into 5th. And then I think the word "fight my way back up to the front" was pretty appropriate.
Yeah.
He had boxing gloves on out there.
Of course, they had one more incident after that where he actually finally put the car around backwards, the other car, and finally got that position. This guy, though, on the other hand, what a job. A masterful performance. That's 3 in a row for him in 2 different classes.
Steve Sargis in the number 18 Triumph Spitfire at an average speed of 79.2 miles an hour earned the victory here in F production, and he is taking the spoils of victory and some of his crew and family around the racetrack too.
That's the best lap in the world right there. When you can, that's one of the things SCCA does that nobody else does, is they give you that checkered flag, and if you got some crew guys, throw them on the body work like that. It's the happiest. Boy, that's what it's all about right there.
So So they had a lot of fun. Steve Sargis staying out in front, led every lap, and really didn't get involved in much of the fireworks, but that's the way race car drivers like to do it, I guess. If you can't get out there and race and beat and bang a little bit, you want to just dominate. That's exactly what Steve Sargis did.
Well, he doesn't have to paint the race car for next year. He doesn't have to fix any fenders. He's ready to run again.
So mechanical failures that bothered him through the course of the 2002 season are all going to be way behind him in dim memories as Steve Sargis enjoys the spoils of victory here in F production. It was an eventful race, and most of the events came courtesy of Charles Guest and Dieter Griesinger. So they gave the crowd here a very entertaining race, as did Dan Snow. We hope you enjoyed it too.